Need a fun free indoor activity? Well, the Contemporary Arts Museum has you covered with its new exhibition, Out of Stock. This inspiring exhibit features work from Houston teens and was curated and created by CAM's 14th Teen Council. The artwork really makes you think and reflect on big ideas like consumerism and identity. Out of Stock is made by teens, but everyone will enjoy it. The exhibit is running now until October 19th, so head to camh.org to learn more. And don't forget, CAM is always free. I'll see you there. For more than 50 years, Westbury Christian School has served students from age 3 to 12th grade as a Christ-centered college preparatory school. This vibrant community reflects the kingdom, faithful, wise, and diverse, where every student is personally known by their peers and teachers. With strong academics plus opportunities in clubs, athletics, fine arts, leadership, and spiritual growth, Westbury Christian prepares students for life, here and for eternity. Check out westburychristian.org/citycast to see upcoming admissions events like coffee talks and campus tours. Before we get to today's conversation, CityCast Houston's private school guide is live on our website at houston.citycast.fm. Today's featured private school is Westbury Christian Academy. They've been serving the Houston community for over 50 years as a Christ-centered college preparatory school for students aged 3 through 12th grade. Their vibrant community of learners reflect the kingdom, faithful, wise, and diverse. And at Westbury Christian Academy, students have plenty of opportunities in athletics, fine arts, leadership, and clubs alongside rigorous academics, so students are prepared for here and eternity. Check out westburychristian.org/citycast to see upcoming admissions events like coffee talks and campus tours. Today on CityCast Houston, it's been tough on the job market in Houston lately. We lost over 30,000 jobs this summer, and Houston's Conoco Phillips just announced major layoffs. So who's getting hit the hardest, and just how hard is it to find a job in H-Town right now? Juliet Stipeche, the executive director of the Gulf Coast Workforce Board, joins me to answer those questions and more. And stay tuned, because after today's conversation, I have an exciting update from Imprint about their inspiring reading series. It's Monday, September 8th. I'm Raheel Ramzanali, and here's what Houston's talking about. So, Juliet, we're still hearing of, people filling out hundreds of job applications and still having no luck, unfortunately, finding opportunities in the city of Houston. Is this something that you've been witnessing as well?
Yes. So I think that is tying in some larger issues that are also new trends that people have not seen before. One thing that I think is surprising to folks, and I believe in it very much, that if you had access to education and more levels of education, especially these 4-year degrees and beyond, that pretty much a job was guaranteed, right? Yeah. Statistically, you were at a great advantage. But what we've seen now, they said that this is the first time like in 40 years that you've seen that not really following through in the way it should, right? So there are individuals that are graduating and they're having a really hard time finding employment. And that's because now a lot of employers are asking for job-related experience. And if you don't have that job-related experience, then they will find a candidate that does. And so that's something that is very surprising to the 4-year graduate or the person that's getting a graduate level education. The other thing is we've also seen this transition and support in more of these fast track certifications and associate degrees. And so those are things where for many years there was a mantra that was, every kid should go to college. Well, now there's a movement towards that's not necessarily the case. Mm-hmm. You can actually go and get a certification and a fast track associate's or 2 years degree. And if you have the connection to the employer, then you can actually start an opportunity like in a registered apprenticeship program where you can start to earn and learn as opposed to incurring a lot of financial debt, being in a long-term college and not having that employment opportunity when you're done. I think the bottom line is people must start having a paid internship experience as early as possible.
Yeah.
And to develop those connections, you have to do that.
You have to do it. It's so important. I tried to intern every single semester when I was in college. That was a long time ago. So I get it. And it is hard, right? Right out of college. And we've seen this impact so many recent grads. But has it always been like that traditionally in Houston for recent grads finding a job? Like, was it tough or is it a new trend?
It's cyclical, but what we've seen now is a very different time in our economic history here. One, COVID changed everything. COVID changed the way people interact with one another. COVID changed the way we use technology, and people started having different expectations for work. There was a dramatic shift in remote work, working in person, hybrid, things along those lines. And people also had, the opportunity to be more selective in their employment opportunities because there was such a need for people to become employed. Now that things are becoming more selective because we're returning to a normal, we are coupling that with new changes in AI and technology and other types of significant disruptors that are dramatically changing the way people are interacting with employment itself. And that comes up to issues like companies using AI to screen applicants and resumes and things along those lines, looking at skill sets that people are bringing into their portfolio when they're interviewing. And so that goes back to how critically important it is for a person to recognize that, yes, having educational experience is absolutely critical, but just as critical is developing a social network, social capital, having that experience, building up your skills portfolio, because when AI is looking through resumes, it's pulling those keywords and the skills that you have in your resume. If you don't have it, you will be rejected.
Yeah. And to be fair, companies have always used technology to just scan the big wave of applicants that come through. Like I remember that impacting me about mid-career, and it was always writing your resume for that technology to pick up those words. And AI has made it a little bit harder in terms of
Yes.
kind of gaming the system, quote unquote, right? But overall, AI is one of those buzzwords that we hear a lot, and it's something that has helped people, but it is also impacting the job market.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like it's a good tool, but like, how is it impacting the job market?
You can use AI to help you too. So it's like
Yeah,
a
for
person
sure.
can go to ChatGPT or Gemini, and these are free, and they'll allow you to attach the job description and your resume for the AI to screen what is needed, and then take your application, add it in as an attachment, look at where there's areas of strengths or weaknesses, make sure that you are customizing your resume for the employment position that you're looking for. So AI can really help people in that respect too.
Yeah.
As you said, it's an opportunity for us to also use technology to hone in on specializing ourselves as well.
But has it taken away from entry level jobs? Like, that big fear of AI is going to replace all of our jobs, right? Has that impacted Houston yet?
I think we're starting to potentially see some of it in the IT area with the slowdown in terms of like people that are coders and things along those lines. In looking at our high skills, high growth, I would have thought that IT and technology in terms of like these entry level positions would have been much higher, right? Because, computer science is a degree that we've talked a whole lot about, and saying that this is one of the STEM fields.
Yeah.
Usually when somebody is studying in the STEM fields, there's security and stability associated with those. But now that AI is going to be able to help with this, coding, the early programmers, it looks like that's something that is going to come in faster and more furious than other areas. There is a strong need for human interaction. So in those entry level jobs that require a lot of human interaction, where you see like in health or in education and things along those lines, those are still, not going to be replaced by AI, at least anytime soon.
A lot of Gen Zers have been moving to Houston. We were named one of the best cities for Gen Z. And that's a good thing because you want more people here. You want more people to establish roots, and that helps the Houston economy. But what is it like for them? Like, what's the job market like for Gen Zers? Are there too many people here now?
Well, I think the thing is, it's like Houston's always been a city that we've got a really dynamic economy. We have a lot of growth in the area. As I said, the growth is not as rapid as it was, but there still is growth and opportunity. So by comparison to other parts of the country, Texas and the Gulf Coast region in particular, it's one of the most dynamic economies arguably in the world. I was surprised. I
Mm,
was, listening to a presentation about the Texas economy, and they were saying that Texas is the eighth largest economy in the world.
wow.
The seventh largest economy in the world is France, the country of France. And 25% of the entire state population resides in the Gulf Coast region. And this area generates 27%, if not more, of the state's revenue. So, you think about that. This region alone probably surpasses some of the economic opportunity that you see in some states. So I will say that's why we have a lot of people coming here because, we have always been a city of opportunity for immigrants, for folks from other parts of the country. And our cost of living used to be much lower. It's not as low as it used to be, which is a challenge for Gen Zers and other persons
Yeah.
moving into this area. But still, by comparison to other parts of the country, it is very competitive.
So you're telling those Gen Zers, stick it out. There are a lot of
Stick it out!
opportunities here. Stick it out.
Yes.
Don't leave. Don't leave. You don't have
Don't,
to go to
yeah.
other states. It is going to be a little bit harder because of all the challenges that just come with finding a job, unfortunately. But don't leave. Stay right here.
Yes. Yes. I used to work for Mayor Sylvester Turner, and I remember he used to say that he wanted this to be the Silicon Bayou, and he would talk about, technology coming into this region. And a lot of folks were like, well, it's kind of slow to come by. Austin was always, talked about as like the tech center.
Yeah.
But we've heard about, other companies moving in, Apple and
Mhm.
others that are moving into this area. And so advanced manufacturing is also something that's moving into this region, and manufacturing in general. And so I think that there's also a very strong entrepreneurial spirit here in Houston that is associated with just, the networks, the economic growth, and the significant steady stream of persons moving into this region too. I'm a native Houstonian. I've lived here my entire life, other than, the 3 years that I was in law school. I lived in the Valley for about 2 years. But, Houston has always had its interesting ups and downs, but
Yeah.
we always land on our feet.
I'm glad you brought up all these upcoming big companies moving in, right? Apple, NVIDIA, Inventec. There's going to be manufacturing jobs, and it might not all be in the city of Houston, but it's going to be in this greater region that we have. So, with that in mind, are you predicting that we're about to hit a new golden era almost because of all these jobs and all these companies?
It's like if there is an area where that opportunity is going to happen, it's here in the Houston Gulf Coast, right?
Yeah.
So the Gulf Coast Workforce Board encompasses 13
Hmm.
counties. It's a microcosm of the macroeconomic dynamic of the state, right? So we often hear how Houston goes, so goes the rest of the state because we're just so large. And, we have seen a lot of growth in
Yeah.
different types of opportunities in this region. Of course, we're known for, petrochem and energy, but as you said, this developing tech sector, this opportunity for us to also look at manufacturing, advanced manufacturing. We have one of the largest medical centers in the world. We have a port that is also one of the most significant ports in the United States, if not the world. And so we oftentimes people from other parts of the country aren't necessarily familiar with everything that's
Mm,
happening in this region. I think sometimes that might be due to our old school marketing of
sure.
oil derricks and longhorn cattle. And so I've talked to several folks, who said, yeah, we really need to shift the way we're presenting ourselves to the rest of the country and the world. Yes, we do have the oil wells, and yes, we do have the cattle, but we also have the Johnson Space Center and all these other opportunities too. So you think about it, that's one of the most dynamic economies that you can imagine.
For sure.
Hey, y'all. I want to tell you about the newest exhibition at the Holocaust Museum Houston. It's called Growing Up Jewish Art and Storytelling, and it starts September 19th. It explores the key people, experiences, and community that shaped artist Jacqueline Cott Wall. The exhibit is a really interesting combination of paintings plus the artist's own narration. So you can see playful images of Jewish holidays, milestones, and so many other experiences, and read the artist's written reflections about being Jewish, from her grandmother's kitchen at Passover to summer camp. The exhibition is included with your general admission ticket to the Holocaust Museum Houston, so plan your visit now at hmh.org/growingupjewish. And don't forget, admission is free for everyone on Thursdays from 2 to 5 p.m. and always free for children and students through age 18 and college students with a valid student ID. You don't want to miss this moving journey through the eyes of a beloved artist. Head to hmh.org/growingupjewish to learn more.
Did you know that September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and kidney cancer is one of the most common types of childhood cancer? So, the Kidney Cancer Association is asking for your help to bring awareness and raise funds through a fun favor. Here it is. Get some chalk, go outside, and write messages of hope on a sidewalk. Yep, that's it. You can raise awareness by chalking up your sidewalk. And be sure to tag the Kidney Cancer Association on social media so they can share your messages of hope with others. And if you can, donate at chalkyourwalk.org so we can raise funds for research. Now's the time to get outside and start drawing so we can come together to fight pediatric kidney cancer. Learn more at chalkyourwalk.org. That's chalkyourwalk.org. Season tickets are on sale for the 2025-2026 in-print Margaret Root Brown Reading Series, which offers one-of-a-kind opportunities to see the world's most fascinating authors, including the brilliant Salman Rushdie and Life of Pi author Jan Martel, across 10 nights in the Houston Theater District. Subscriptions include the best seats in the house, free parking, signed books, and other perks. For more information and to buy season tickets, visit inprint.org. That's inprint.org. You know, when we talk about employment, job rates, there's a lot of numbers. And although reports have shown that layoffs are happening statewide, it feels like Houston is bearing the largest share of these layoffs. What's causing that decline specifically to impact our city so hard compared to the rest of the state?
So I think it's just because, it's like you're looking at this area, which is one of the largest. When we see peaks and valleys, because we're so large, it looks tremendous by comparison, right? And so when you hear these numbers, it's like, oh my gosh, what's that? But it's like one has to remember that you're talking about a region that is, this labor market is one of the largest in the country. And so even though you see this payroll decline by 30,500 jobs,
Yeah.
the drop is consistent with a typical summer slowdown. Last summer's counts were depressed after Hurricane Beryl and a temporary loss of 61,500 jobs. But, this is something that we really want people to know that the most significant portion of that number was related to seasonal adjustment.
Gotcha. Did any of the federal cuts from the Trump administration, there was a big DOGE effort, right? The Department of Government Efficiency, and they were cutting grants and federal cuts in general. Did that play any role into the job market decline?
I think we're trying to examine and see if if that was the cause of that. But
Yeah.
I would say no. We have not seen the impact that one might have anticipated, and so it's like the largest losses did occur in government positions, but largely associated with local government educational services, and that goes back to what we were saying before, seeing that swing in the staffing changes that occur that are seasonally adjusted because of the summer slowdown. State government educational services had a 1,200 position loss following those seasonal norms, but federal government employment inched up by 100 jobs in the region. So despite the steep drop, this remains largely a seasonal phenomenon just based on our initial analysis, and we expect a reverse in terms of the numbers based on the start of the school year. And so I think that there have been some adjustments in local government looking at what's happening with the potential of some federal funding cuts and challenges in that space.
Yeah.
But we, at least in these government sector jobs that I just described, has not been seen.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to ask you, what's the market like right now for, Houstonians who don't have a college degree? I'm thinking more of the technical fields, right? They're so important. Plumbing, welding, construction. What's it like here for them?
So those different types of positions of the technical trade, the building and construction, the folks that can do, the technical type of opportunities, those are areas that there's a lot of opportunity there. For instance, I work with the Houston Building Construction Trades organization. It's the Houston Building Construction Trades Council, and they have about 20 plus different trades. They have a pre-apprenticeship program. They have registered apprenticeship programs. Those are areas where somebody can come in, they can earn and learn, they can get a pension, insurance, benefits right from the beginning. I tell folks, if you're looking for an opportunity where you don't have to spend 4 years in a university, but you can have a long-standing career with lots of benefits and options, this is something to examine. Visit www.arpmc3.com. They're currently looking for candidates for their upcoming cohort. It's a great opportunity for folks.
That's amazing. I want to go back to college students. For our college students that are kind of feeling this pinch right now, or college students who are potentially afraid of what the market is going to be like, of course, with AI coming, we talked about that and how that's going to play out. What should they do when they're thinking about getting a job after college?
I would say, this is something that as the executive director of the Gulf Coast Workforce Board, we create a list called the High Skills, High Growth Targeted Industries. And Parker Harvey, our regional economist, gets all these data sets from the federal government, from the state, and he does an analysis of, what are areas that are going to allow people to have a strong wage, the opportunity for growth in the local economy. I think that this should be a book that every single college student should have access to. It is available free on our wrksolutions.com website. We also have
Nice.
a different type of portal that Parker created so people can see the different types of job trends where we see intro salaries, mid-level, and expert level, the types of career growth in particular types of targeted industries. So there should never be a mismatch in a person going to study an area that doesn't necessarily have a strong opportunity waiting for them at the end, unless that person knows that they want to do something with that degree that's entrepreneurial, creative in nature, and it's going to be a different road that they're willing to create on their own. That's where it's like, start early looking at that data so you can make a conscientious, data-driven decision.
Oh, I love that.
And I think that is painful when I see folks study and they go on a road to nowhere. So education to find a career, family support, stability, and a future that you want to create on your own requires you to look at labor market data.
And I'm going to link those resources in our show notes as well, so you can check it out or send it to somebody in college right now or to a Gen Zer. So definitely share that important resource. That's fantastic. Okay, this is not just for Gen Zers. Okay, I'm thinking about everybody here. If somebody's having a hard time right now finding a job, getting the runaround, submitting, 50 plus applications, all those challenges that we've talked about, what advice could you give them?
The advice I would give them is, please look at opportunities, even if it's something that'll give you a part-time experience that may not give you the pay that you want. Get in the front door. You have to be willing to take those risks. It may not be what others are saying is the, traditional route. So you got to chart your own path.
Juliet, thank you so much for all of this advice and for joining us on the show. I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Another great way to make new connections is by attending so many great events across the Houston area. And one of those is the In-Print Margaret Root Brown Reading Series. And starting today through next May, you'll be able to hear from world-renowned authors as they read from their works and chat with local writers and journalists in this really engaging space. There are so many award-winning authors making their way to Houston, like Salman Rushdie, Kiran Desai, Brian Washington, and so many more. I highly recommend buying a season ticket so you can get the best seats, you get free parking. You know, I love free parking, signed books, and so many other great perks. And you can see the full schedule and learn more about the season tickets and also buy them at inprinthouston.org. That's inprinthouston.org. That was Juliet Stipeche, Executive Director of the Gulf Coast Workforce Board. I've linked the resources she mentioned in our show notes. Before I go, I've got one quick favor to ask from you. Help me grow the show by sharing this episode on LinkedIn so your professional contacts can learn more about our local job market. For more Houston news and events, check out our daily newsletter, Hey Houston. You can sign up with the link in our show notes. And don't forget, you can make our community even better by becoming a CityCast Houston neighbor for just $10 a month. This membership gives you some really cool perks like ad-free listening. Become a neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. Thanks. That will do it for today. I'm Raheel Ramzanali. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something new. I'm going to pause you a second. We can hear the dog panting, so just hold it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Maybe I can put him outside. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Hey, dog, go outside.